1989, the local authority has that legal right, the statutory right, to intervene in families where they suspect that a child's health, a child's life is in danger, where there's manifest signs of either neglect or abuse or anything. It could be emotional trauma for children. So they have the right to intervene. So we have been representing families both in writing with different local authorities, and both for those that are threatening to make their children subject of child protection order, or those families where children have already been taken away. But we discovered another angle, that the reasons why they intervene in families at times are just minor problems. Some of them are just misunderstanding of cultural practices. Some of them are misinterpretation of communication. When they are communicating with the parents, some parents use some languages that incriminate them. Some of them are just due to stereotype. Some of them are just due to discrimination. And so a lot of children now are taken away from parents. A lot of parents have suffered untold hardship and lack of support. So we offer that support, and that's why I really want to appreciate Ola and every officers of the Save the Woman team. You are doing amazingly very well. You are involved in the community. You have been a voice to many families, and I really identify with you, the work you are doing. So we started the first session, the first module last Saturday with mental health issues in the family, and we emphasize that mental health is different. When we talk about mental health problems, we are not talking about psychiatric problems, because a lot of us, we are coming from countries where whenever everybody that have anything mental problem, we categorize them as psychiatric problem, insanity, and all that. So we made it clear that mental health problems is different from psychiatric problem. Mental health can affect anybody, because most of them it's temporary, just something very temporary. Something, if addressed quickly, can just the person can recover. But psychiatric people goes deeper than that. Psychiatric people, the psychiatric problem is where a doctor has to diagnose somebody, and majority of the time the person will be sectioned. So there are two different matters, and we also emphasize that psychiatric problem, mental health affects both adults and children. But where we are coming from, our background, Black, Africans, and ethnic minority families, at times we don't ever recognize that children suffer mental health problems. They have times where they're upset, they have sleepless nights, they become withdrawn, they become moody, they go off food, and so many other things that come to it. So we looked at how we can help. Then after that, we looked at the second module on last Sunday. We looked at I think it's My Family and I. Yeah, My Family and I, laying emphasis that as a parent, whatever we do must be for the best interest of the children. Whether you are a biological parent or you are not, whether you are a foster parent, whether you are a guardian, it is the government. What government looks at is the best interest of a child. It's not what you are doing best. It is not what you are doing very well. When the eyes of the government, as you know, almost all the schools in the UK, and we have people joining us from Canada, from Africa, and so many other places, from the US in the past. And so in the UK, most times what they are looking at is not what you are doing wrong or what you are doing right, but what is in the best interest of a child. So what in the law is in the best interest of a child may not be what you think. So there's something from where we are coming from. Remember, the emphasis of this course is for especially our African, Caribbean, and other ethnic minority groups, because we are overrepresented, or will I use the word disproportionately represented among families that either break up or children are taken away. So why? Because of misunderstanding of certain things. So there are things we just think that is good for my children, but in the eyes of the law of the country where we are, it is not for the best interest of the child. There are some steps we take. We think they are wonderful, but in the eyes of the law, it's not in the best interest of the child. So bear in mind, everything we are doing is what is in the best interest of the child. And we are not saying that you parents are not doing very well, because at times we invite people for this course and they don't want to come because they say, but we are great parents, we are doing very well. In fact, every parent do very well for their children, but there's a thin line to step into doing something that is against the law. So that's why we have organized this. So we looked at my family and I, and one of the things that stands out in that session was how to establish emotional connection with our children. Very important. How to establish emotional connection. And I want to assure you also, this course is not just to help you with your children. If you are living with people, if you have a spouse, it will also help you. Because if you understand how to build and strengthen and maintain a strong emotional connection with your children, you will apply it to your other relationships. So they are very, very important. So why we said that, we now ask us to give us 3 family values. We asked every family represented to write down and share with us 3 of their family values, because you cannot talk about bringing up children without family values. In families where family values are not known, things go wrong, because children can do something innocently and we get angry, we start shouting at them, we punish them. Meanwhile, they don't even know the expectation. So we looked at the expectations, family expectations, how to communicate it. And a lot of us shared our family values, 3 family values. And the last thing we asked us to do is to go back home. Now we have found out 3 or more family values that we want to communicate. We asked us to go home and communicate it to these children, to our children. Like somebody gave an example, which I reminded us of example I gave before. At times, parents, we are expecting our children after school, they should come back home by 3 p.m. And we never voiced it. We did not emphasize the reason why they should come back at that time. Then the child maybe finishing school and just hangs around with a friend and come back home 5:30, and we're angry. We get enraged. Meanwhile, the child did not know that there's a certain time that child is expected to. That's an example. So we now said that your family values must be communicated in a clear, transparent, and intentional way. It must be clear. The family value, and we are going to look at that very towards the end, because we asked us to go home and have that discussion with our children. Communicate your values. Don't assume your children know your values. Every family have their values. Don't ever assume that my children, they know that I don't like that. We always hear parents. That's how we grew up. Our parents never communicated what we are expected to do. But once we now do that, whatever they don't like, they punish us, they call us names, they abuse us, and that is where we are coming from. We are shut up, and we are punished for what we don't even know. I gave an example that when I was growing up, I loved football. And one day we were playing football after school. And there was a woman that had a new baby, a tiny baby like this. And she was sitting outside, and we were just playing football. And I played the ball, and it narrowly missed the baby's head. And the woman and her husband were so angry. And I didn't understand why they're angry. Because for me, it didn't touch your child. So why are you really angry? And they were so mad. And this caused problem. But I think my mother had to ask them, did they tell us what we did wrong? So they now explained to us that what we did wrong is that we know there's a baby there and we are playing football close to that baby, that is wrong. Whether you hit the child's dead or not. So, at times we have this vague idea of our expectation from our children without communicating it. So we emphasize on that. So today we are going to share, you are going to tell us how you communicated, how it was received. So we also said that your family values must be articulated. It must be articulated clearly. And it must be communicated in an assertive way. Assertive way is not shouting way. It's not being bossy. Assertive way is where you communicate it with authority. So this is our expectation. Maybe I'm the father or the mother of this house. At the moment you're under me, this is my expectation, because you are under my care. I take decision in the house. I pay the rent or whatever it is. So you have to be very assertive about it. No apologies. When you're communicating your values, look, in this house we don't smoke. In this house we don't swear. You have to assert your authority. You are not abusing them. You are not bossing them, but you are communicating family values. And I also said the fifth one, that if possible, you must rehearse your family values every now and then and review it as the children grow up. Because the family value you have when a child is 3, 5, 6 may not be the same when they get to 10 years and when they're teenagers. So you have to look at that. So having said that, we also looked at, though we did not buttress this, we looked at understanding the place and voice of children in a family. Understanding the place and the voice of children in a family. We are coming from a place where we are silenced as children, and some of us are doing the same. We are not listening to our children. And one thing we have noticed in this country is once a child starts talking 1.5 years, they start asking you why. Why? Can you ask a child, can you go to the other room? That child say, why? Can you put off TV? Why? And some of us, we get angry. I was there. We are not happy. We don't understand. So we took out from last week that children are asking why, because their intelligence is more than when we were growing up. Because the moment you give birth to that child, you discover you start putting them in front of the TV. You give them toys that are very educative. So their brain starts developing so quickly. So they want to know. We talked about that we want to know. They want to know what is going on. We also talked about issue of apologizing to the children, saying sorry when we are wrong, when we hurt their feelings. We said that we don't say sorry because we are wrong. We say sorry because we hurt the other person's feelings. There are times you talk to your children, you scream at them, and you don't know you have hurt their feelings. And why we are saying this is, when you hurt a child's feeling, they may not voice it out, they may not say anything, but when they go to school, they present with some moods. And every school right now have social workers that are assigned in the school. So they can notice that a child is moody, they can notice that a child is unkempt, they can notice that a child does not eat their lunch in school. They may start asking questions. And that, if no reasonable answer is given, the social services, the local authority, the police can be involved. And we don't want us to have that problem. We are looking at how to avoid it. So we must actively listen to our children. Very important. Answer their questions genuinely, please. We must answer their questions genuinely. Also we talked about so saying sorry. That there's a place you can call a child and say, wow, it's like the way I spoke to you, I hurt your feelings. Oh, mommy is sorry. I'm sorry. Or daddy, I'm sorry about it. But you know what? This is what I expect of you. And and that is where setting a boundary comes in. That setting a boundary means you explain family values to your children. Let there be an agreement. That agreement is, this is our agreement today. In this house, there's no swearing. Now, anybody that swears, what will we do? Ask them, leave it to them to suggest, and they will suggest to you. Anybody that maybe does something that we don't like, whatever it is. So what do you think we should do? They will bring suggestions. And once they bring that suggestions, this is what we have agreed that if you don't do this, maybe you will not watch TV for 2 days, or maybe you will not use the iPad or something. And once they agree, watch them. If they do something wrong, and you say, well, remember we agreed, so what do? You are not watching TV. They will not be upset. They will not. They will accept it because it has been communicated clearly, it has been agreed. So we say so many things in that area. But today, I want us to just, before we go to today's model, there's something we didn't do last week, Sunday, which is what is appropriate. Okay. Somebody just joined us. Okay. Yes, those of us on Zoom. I welcome you, Said. Yes. So we were supposed to look at chastisement. What is appropriate chastisement? What is appropriate chastisement? What is appropriate chastisement in Africa? And I think things are changing in Africa now. It's quite different from what is appropriate chastisement here. In Africa, when we were growing up, and most of you can relate to this, if you did something wrong in school, your parents, the teachers will flog you. In fact, when your parents become aware of it, they will celebrate it. That yes, that the teachers are doing something nice. And if you do something wrong, they will flog, they will slap, they will do all sorts of things. At times they will starve children of food or something, which is wrong. But where we are now, we don't do all that. So we have to learn different ways of doing it, that it does not expose us and our children. So what is chastisement? Chastisement, is it legal? What is the legal position of chastisement? We talked about last week that there's a difference between punishing a child and disciplining a child. So I will encourage you, don't punish your children, no matter what they do. Discipline them. Discipline them. Discipline could be, okay, you did something wrong, you go and do this homework, or go and write a letter of apology. Make sure they get it right. So you discipline them, don't punish them. So we are looking at what is the legal position on chastisement. Like you hit a child on the head. That is a no. You can't hit a child, no matter how small. You smack a child on the head. Legally, that is wrong. That is like you are that is not legally right. Or you smack a child on the hand, on the leg. So this is what we call chastisement. Maybe you are really angry. A child did something. You throw something at them, or you smack their leg or something. That is what we are talking of, chastisement. Is it legal? So as a parent, I want you to know, I want to remind you, from legal perspective, you don't have the legal right to smack your child. I know most of us are Christians. The Bible says, save the rod and destroy the child. The Bible wasn't talking about rod, iron. No. The Bible was talking about discipline. Discipline as a whole. So you cannot overlook. It's very important we discipline our children. We'll correct them when they are wrong. But it is the mode, how we do it, that matters. It is how we do it that matters. So legally, you don't have a right to smack your child unless you can show that you have a reasonable, that your chastisement is a reasonable punishment. That word is important, reasonable. That's the legal word. Yeah, okay, right. Maybe you smack the child on the leg, on the hand, on the palm, and the child goes to school and they say, oh, there's a redness in your hand. What happened? He said, my mom smacked me, or my dad smacked me, or my brother or my sister smacked me. Now, if the local authority comes in, their problem is not the smacking. Their problem is, was the smacking reasonable? Legally, is it reasonable? Was it excessive? When a mother smack a child, bang, 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 they will say, oh, that's excessive, especially when you slap a child and there's a swelling or there is a reddening. So they will say it's excessive. So, but should it go further, they will look at it, what is reasonable. So that is why we encourage people, if possible, learn other ways of chastising your children, of disciplining them, instead of smacking them, because you don't know when you cross the, when it goes into what is not reasonable, and you don't want to go into that. So the assessment about whether the way we corrected our children is based on they will take account the age of the child and the force of the smack. The age of your child is very important, because the law look at children as very vulnerable. They can't defend themselves. So you are the custodian. So whenever there is a chastisement involved in a child's life, what they're looking at is what is the age of the child and what is the force. Is that force appropriate? Is the force appropriate? When you take, like back home, they will use cane or they will use belt, bang, bang, bang. They will look at it. Is that really appropriate for a 6-year-old? Though, so we advise, both send the woman and the family mediation center, we advise you, please learn alternative non-physical way of disciplining your children, so that you don't even prove yourself whether it is reasonable or not. And there are so many beautiful ways that we can discipline our children. So chastisement of children can take many forms, which you know. So it can take many forms. So we'll go further. So depending on the circumstances, an open-handed smack on a child's bottom, if it does not leave a mark, might therefore be considered reasonable chastisement. Whereas a smack on the head, even with open arm, might be considered assault, as it could cause harm to that child. So you can see what I mean. Because when you are upset, you just get to the child, you don't even know where you hit. So you may hit the head, and their brains are developing. So as it stands in England right now, I think most of us here are in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, it is illegal, completely illegal for a parent to smack their own child, except where the smacking is deemed reasonable. Except it is reasonable. It is, other than that, it is unlawful. So it is generally understood that factors that will be considered include the age and nature or force of the smack. But we don't want to encounter the local authority, the social workers, or the government, or the police. That is why we are doing this. Because the problem we have is that because of stereotype, because of there are a lot of social workers that are doing amazing job. A lot of local authorities are doing amazing job. But some of them, once they hear some names, they feel something must have gone wrong. And the first thing they will do is to take the children away if you don't have a strong voice supporting you. Before you will now argue to bring the child out, whether it is reasonable or what you did is unreasonable, the children may have already gone out. And the funny thing now is I have seen where the children are taken out to foster parents, and when the government want to return the children, foster parents will refuse. The foster parents will now say, we have formed a relationship with these children, you can't take them away from us. So the local authority is ready to return the children, but the foster parents are refusing. So the best way is avoid them intervening in your home. That's the essence of this. Because we have represented many people, we discover that these are little issues that have exposed them. And we don't want you to make that mistake. So I'll just run through this. What is clear is that reasonable punishment would not include any smacking that left a child with swelling, with bruises, cuts and grazes, reddening of the skin, abrasions, scratches, or black eye. So any child that has all that, the GP can notice it. Even your neighbor can notice it and raise alarm. The schools can raise alarm on that. So you have to, whatever it will take you, ask God to help you that you will not chastise your children anymore. In Scotland, In fact, Scotland is the first country in the UK to ban smacking. And so parents can face prosecution. Apart from taking the children, the parents will face prosecution. But in the UK, most times you don't face prosecution unless it is really I have had an example where somebody faced a prosecution. I told you the story last week. A man who brought the family, he has lived here for UK for a long time. Then he brought his family from Africa. And those children in Africa, you know, we share. We have the community spirit, we share our food. So those children learned how to share food. So once in a while, when they see their friends eating or sweeties or something, they will ask their friends to share with them. And the man did not like it. And instead of, I'm sure he warned them at home not to do that again. But every time they went to church, he would see the children asking other children for their sweeties, and he didn't like it. And you know, the way back home, they would threaten you with whatever they can. They would just threaten you. When we were growing up, well, I lived with my mother. She wasn't really like that, but I saw parents. So they can threaten their children. This man thought, okay, I just want to scare these children so that they don't do this again. I have spoken, they don't listen. Let me just threaten them. And that man told them that any other day I see you doing this, I'm going to kill you with a knife. You see what we're saying? Emotional problem, not understanding the kind of word. An adult may understand it. A child was shaking, and the man didn't know. He didn't realize. The children would say, yes, sir, yes, sir. Yeah, we won't do it again. We won't do it again. And the man thought everything is fine. But they were traumatized. They couldn't say anything. They couldn't tell anybody until when they got to school. I don't know how they were discussing with their schoolmates, young, small children. And they say, they're afraid of their dad, or I'm afraid of daddy. Why are you afraid? He said he's going to kill them with a knife. And bring example, show them the knife. And that was extreme. And when the woman went to pick up the children, the school had already called the police and said, sorry, you can't take them. And the whole thing, I'm telling you, the man was charged to court. He had to serve sentence for threatening of life. They deported him, and the children were given out. None of them. The wife, they didn't do anything to the wife, but they took the children away for simple mistake, because that's how we saw it in Africa. And so we think it's normal. So we must avoid all that. Well, Welsh Assembly in January 2020 passed that law. And in 2022, it will come into force. So a child, when we are talking of child, we are talking of someone aged under 14 years. And any young person means someone age 14 and above. We interchange that word, young people and children. So a child is anyone under 14 years. But a young person means somebody aged 14 and above. So when your child is 14 and above, that child is referred to a young person. So it's different application. Now, having taken that out of the way, let's go straight into module 3, which is what we are supposed to be doing today. And today we are looking at creating conducive atmosphere for your children. Creating conducive atmosphere for the children. What is the objective? What is the aim? Our aim is to enlighten parents again on laws and regulations around child protection and safeguarding in the UK. Another aim is to promote better understanding between parents, their children, and young people. Number 3, teaching children to understand family values. Like, let me pose an example before we continue. Since last year, we have had that's really helpful, Esther. We have had this coronavirus going on. I'm wondering how many of us have sat our children down, no matter how small they are, to ask them how they feel about it. If you have done that, you are doing a great job. Give 3 points. What do you mean by 3 points? Is it why somebody said, Ogamaka? Are you talking about the objective? Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I said one is to enlighten parents on the laws and regulations around child protection and safeguarding in the UK. That's why we are doing this. Second one is to promote better understanding between parents and their children and young people. And the third one is teaching children to understand family values. So if you have not had any chat with your children about coronavirus, how they feel about it, because at times we just assume that they know what is going on. No, some of them don't. Some of them have fear in their hearts, and if untreated, it can affect them. Yeah, so it falls under module 2 actually. So you can also ask them how you can help them and how you can support them so that they are confident. We talked about so many things about relating to that earlier. Now I will pause a bit and I want to communicate something else. You see, a lot of parents have requested those who have attended this program before, if we will do a higher level, a deeper level, because what we are doing is foundational. We are ready to move on to that level to introduce that, but that will be limited to those who want to, who are ready to pay for that, because that will be a bigger cost. So if you will want to go enroll into that, the inner circle, those who want to do the master class, where we'll go deeper and arm you also, you can also be a coach, a mentor to other parents. Please get in touch, let Ola know or let me know. And that one, we are going to be charging that. Okay, let's now go ahead. We talked about chastisement, we talked about this, so just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, creating a conducive atmosphere in your home. So, when we talk about creating conducive atmosphere in your home, it goes beyond giving the children good food, buying games for them, just helping them with schoolwork, giving them chocolate. No, it goes beyond that. Creating a conducive atmosphere is where, as a parent, you intentionally make your children not feel like nuisance, where you can balance, you have balanced parenting, where you can deal with challenging behaviors, where there is communication is difficult. It goes into so many areas, but our emphasis is parents. If you create a conducive atmosphere for your children, you keep the social services away from your home. I will recap it. A lot of us think, okay, it is bad parents. It's only local authorities, social workers come to parents who are bad parents. It's a lie. It's not bad parents. It's just little mistakes that people make. Just little mistakes that people make. That's why we said earlier from the beginning that you must raise yourself before you raise your children. Because a lot of parents see their children at some point, because maybe you don't know the challenges they're going through, and these children present with some problem, we see them as nuisance. And so we don't create that atmosphere. We don't listen to them again. We are not present. You are no longer present. You are at home, yet you are not present. No, one of the ways you have to create a conducive atmosphere is, one, to ensure there is peace in the house. Apart from providing everything material or food-wise, but that peace, that ability to be there, ability to understand what is going on in the mind of your children at any given time, ability to appreciate them and give them lots of love. So we are going to look at adaptability. To create a conducive atmosphere or environment for your children, you need to what? To be able to adapt. Adaptability. Very important. That is ability to adjust. so that you don't get stuck on negativity. What do I mean? Some of us parents, we came from a place where we notice the faults. We notice a child that doesn't do the right things, and we hammer on it. We give the child tag. We treat them differently. We shut them up. So if you want to create a good and conducive atmosphere, you need to change, you need to adapt your mentality. You need to change how those negativity and in your mind so that you are able to lead your family through difficult situations. Like, let me give an example. You as a parent, you may be going through a challenging time financially or in your workplace. How does it play out at home? How do your children see you? Yes, you have given them food, giving them everything, but if you are so disorganized, disorientated, you are so troubled, those children indirectly, you are passing it on to them. And that place cannot be conducive for them because they are always in a home where there's pressure. Where there is pressure, where there is crisis, where crisis is not well managed. Where a parent cannot manage their drinking habit, they cannot manage relationships. So that is not a conducive place. So to create a conducive family, you need to be somebody who can be spontaneous, who can be creative, so that you are able to guide the children. You can adjust your plan and manage stress. So you are able to self-motivate yourself. Learn how to self-motivate yourself no matter how bad things go. How to deal with your pressure yourself so you don't pass it indirectly on the children, because what we are saying is you may not know when you are down, when you are crying, when you are weeping, when you are sorrowful, when you are shouting on the phone, that these children, it's passed on to them. And they may have sleepless nights, they go to school, they are sleeping when lesson is going on, and teachers will dictate it. If it goes on regularly, some of them wouldn't want to eat food. So we want to encourage you to, for a good family, for a good conducive home, for a good conducive home, promote positive attitudes, positive vibe at home. Have a time to play with the children. Have a time, to play with the children. Positive attitude towards unexpected changes. When something changes suddenly in your circumstance, in your life, let it not carry you by shock, because it will be passed on to the children. So we must learn resilience as parents. We must learn resilience as parents. Respect. To create a conducive home, respect is important. The respect the husband and the wife have for each other. Where the parents are always shouting and arguing and showing attitudes, it affects the children. Especially children don't like seeing their mom upset. They will take it in, but in a bad way. So we must minimize such stress. We must create respect, a great sense of value. Also, from their own perspective, always allow them to share opinions. Let them share opinions on money, even in some things that we call adult discussion. You may not put yourself into it, but just pick their brain and say, okay, if should this happen, what do you think? And just listen to them. Don't say anything, just listen. Don't even say they are right or wrong. Engage them like that, because in doing that, they feel that you respect them, because you respect their opinion, you respect their voice. Because today, our Black young people, the greatest, if you ask them, those who are troubled, those who are yes, say even seeing us hyper can cause them confusion. Absolutely. Every time you are agitated, it causes them confusion, and they are not told what the problem is. So most of our young people who are on the streets, or today, some of them who are driven to carrying drugs, we are children from a good background until things changed. And so the language you will always hear is nobody listens to me. Nobody listens to me. A lot of young people, that is their word. And that is true, because we don't listen to them. Listen to them, even if what they are going to say does not make sense. It gives them that confidence. And we mentioned it the other day. Remember, we are bringing up global children and not your village children. We are bringing up global children who will be leaders tomorrow. So when you begin to respect their feelings, you respect their emotions, you respect their views, you respect their voice and their opinions, you will bring up a confident and a whole child, a child that is all-rounder. So when they go out, they will handle their emotions. Most children you see today that get so angry that they stab each other is because they have grown up in a home full of crisis. Their at times, parents could not manage their own crisis. Also, parents react the same way. Parents throw tables, parents throw things, parents, so the children can grow up like that. And in school, when they notice a child is always arguing, they begin to say what is going on in their house. They're always fighting with their schoolmates. So give them that respect. Listen to them, keep their secrets. When they confide in you, don't chastise them. I will encourage you. If one of your kids does really something that is grave, something that is wrong, if possible, I know a lot of us have made that mistake because we learned from home. If possible, speak to them privately. Don't embarrass them where every member of the family is. That's called respect. So you know what is going to happen? When something happens to them as well, they will speak to you privately. They will not do for somebody else. They will begin to trust you with their own problems when they grow up. The intentionality, if you want to create a conducive atmosphere, you must be intentional. So you have to make a resolute to think ahead as a parent. Prepare, learn, and emotionally invest in yourself. Invest in your emotions. I don't know if you understand that. Invest in your emotions. Today, I want you to reflect on yourself. Cast your mind back to that moment where you must have lost it. And ask yourself, if I face such circumstance again, how will I handle it differently? That I'm not screaming, that I'm not throwing tantrum, that I'm not upset in the presence of the children. It doesn't mean that when you really have issues, you should bottle it up like a super mother, a super father, a superman. No. There's a time you explain to them, like we mentioned, I think on the last Saturday or Sunday, that when there is a problem, yes, there's a manual to raise children in the UK. Unfortunately, we didn't know, and so people were just handling their problem like that. So we talked. There's something I was going to say before. Okay, I've forgotten that. So try and learn how to control your emotions. It's very important, because if you don't do that, invest in yourself. If you don't do that, it will have effects on the children. To create a conducive atmosphere, you must deliberately learn the act of paying genuine attention. Children pick it up when your attention is not genuine, when you are just giving them attention to get them out of your way. The child is tapping on you. Like I have I have a little dog as well here. If my dog is hungry and I'm not paying attention, he'll start scratching my leg. He'll start scratching my leg. If I say, go, 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 he will come back. At times we do that to our children. A child is asking for something. Yes, it may not be the right time, but how you respond is important. How you respond is important. So we must build on the increasing our act of paying genuine attention to a child. When a child has an issue, pay genuine attention. I gave you an example of a young boy who in school, they were making, one other boy was laughing at him because of his boxers. And he became very offended, very upset, in a rage everywhere. This was little thing that happened in school. But it was happening, but because the parents, the mother was very at alert because of the environment she created in her home. She picked it up immediately that this child had changed. And what did she do? She paid a genuine attention. She did not just say, oh, is it not school? Oh, what does joke in school? Is it not a school joke? Can you leave it? No, no, no. What she did was to take the child out alone. Take the child to an eatery place like McDonald's or whatever they like, and entertain them and say, okay, today is mommy, or let's say mommy and Sunday, or daddy and Sunday. Now tell me, what is going on? Is there anything somebody said to you? Why are you reacting the way you are reacting? I really want to know what is going on, because you're a proper child, you're a good child, you are growing up nicely, but if you continue like this, I have worries. That child will know that you are really genuinely interested, and the child will open up. So this, because if you don't address it, it can impact the child's health and behavior. Boundaries. If you want to have a conducive home, there must be boundaries. Children cannot run riots. There must be boundaries. I know a lot of you have boundaries in your home, but is your boundary very rigid? Is it flexible? Is it doing more harm? Because some boundaries are doing more harm. I know a couple separated because the father believes in, look, we have eaten breakfast, you have eaten lunch, you have eaten dinner. Why do you want to eat snacks? You are spoiling them by giving them too much snacks. So there was instead of setting a boundary that, yes, if you want to have snacks, this is how much you can have. Don't have excessive. Or this is what you should have at a point. But he just kind of blanket. So some of us, we have some blanket rules without asking ourselves, how do the children see it? Do they see that you are wicked? Or do they see that you are doing it for their good? Like like one of the best ways I personally do is, if the children tend to eat too much crisps, I don't say no crisps in the house, no crisps in the house. No, what I will do is I will sit them down and say, look, crisps is good, but too much salt, and also it will add to your weight gain. I said, okay, what we are going to do, we will add fruit. So everybody, which fruit do you like? Everybody says the fruit. So I can buy small of those fruits and keep fruit. So, okay, this time, today you can eat crisps, but you also eat fruit, but not too much crisps in one go. So you see, one, I have stopped them from eating too much crisps or biscuits, but I didn't ban it. And I had alternative. So, but when you remove something completely without alternative, it can harm the child. Now, so I encourage you, learn the love language of your children. Some children like hugging. I'm not talking of young adults, remember, because this is something that they debate every day. Some parents still kiss their children on the lips, and some people make argument out of it. So, and also the law does not expect your child that is 10 years that you should bath your child. If you do that, I'm telling you that, and the child says it somewhere, jokingly or unjokingly, the likelihood is that social services will intervene in that family. So there are things that are appropriate. So you have to learn. There are some children that love that touch. They love the hug. Even if you are coming from Africa like me and didn't know how to hug, learn how to hug them, or tell them that since they love hugging, they should be the one to hug you because you find it hard. That is the way I did mine, actually, because I wasn't hugged. It is not part of our culture where I was coming from. I didn't, it was so awkward for me to hug my children, apart from when they were babies. So because it's all like in school, you drop them in school, you hug them, you give them peck. So what I did, I had a discussion with them. I explained it to them so that they don't feel cheated. That look, where we are coming from, that is not our culture. But now, this is the way this country is. So I find it hard to do it. So what I want you to do is, if you want to give me a peg, when I drop in school, give me the peg and I will accept it. Give me a hug until I get there. And then my children started doing that, even at home. So I can now genuinely give them that hug. I can genuinely give them a peck. And now it has become part of me. But don't say it's not, it's a no-go area. My parents didn't hug me. So you can't get it. We can change. We can change. If it means a lot to our children, we can change. Because there are some children that love that touch. Don't make them feel they're untouchable, because it will impact on their relationship tomorrow. Act of service, quality time with them, undivided attention. So, because this will help you to observe their feelings. When you give your children undivided attention when they need it, it will help us to observe their feelings, to observe changes in their character and mood. And the children love praise. Because we said the other time, please, and I want to remind us, don't create a big difference between when they're in school and when they're at home. Don't let their life in school be better than when they're at home. Because what you're creating is that they want to be outside the home. So I said in school, teachers respect the children. They talk to them like adults. They talk to them. A teacher will come in, no matter how small they are, say, hello, everyone. Today, we're going to be doing this. We are going to be doing that. You will be doing that. You will be doing that. And this is what I'm going to do. These are no-go areas. These are go areas. They discuss with them. They don't just say, today, no talking in this class. No, they don't do that. So don't now let it not be that when the children go to school, there is a order in their life. There is order in their life. They are respected. They know what to do at the right time. They are informed. And then when they come home, nobody tells them anything except there's something to do or come and eat. Have you taken your bath? Go and sleep. Have you read your book? What are you doing now? No. So it's very, if it's possible, in the morning, if you have the time, or when they are getting ready for school, you can have a minor, a simple discussion. Okay, today after school, when you come back, this is what are you going to? What's your plan? And they will tell you, when I come back from school, I have this film I need to watch. I have this. Okay, that's a good one. But also, when you finish that, can you do this? When you finish this, can you do this? So let there be that discussion. Let there be that discussion. So in the family, we encourage you, prioritize what is important. Prioritize what is important, but not what is urgent. So take time to make time for your children. Prioritize what is it that is important, because what is urgent may be too much for the children. What is urgent, we must be, no. It puts them in a, because their brain or the experience has not gotten to that point. Okay. So we must teach positive behavior, positive expectations. Live what you want them to see in the house. Be genuine to your children. Let them know who you are. So that in school, they will be the one. If the teachers, because I'm telling you, some teachers write some negative reports about parents. And should there be any need for local authorities to come in, the record of the teachers will be brought out. The record of your timekeeping, how regular you bring your children to school, your attendance at parent evenings. These things are very important. So teach your children to be early and punctual by being early. How do we enforce timing for breakfast, lunch? Okay. Yeah, that is very fantastic question. It's simple. It's simple. Practice what you want them to do. It's as simple as ABC. Have a discussion. I will give you practical example, which has helped me when right from when my children were small till now. We have a rule in our family that we, apart from Sunday when we all go to church, uh, Monday to Saturday we must have a family prayer together. We must either in the morning during holidays or in the evening during school term times. Now we had a discussion, asked everybody, if you come back from school, what will you be doing? Do you have assignment? How long will it take you? So they will, all of them will give their ideas. Okay. So we now arrived at, we discovered that by 9, everybody have finished whatever they are doing. We have had our lunch, our dinner. So we now say, okay, 9 p.m., everybody must gather, not in your room. We must gather in one particular place every day. Everybody must come there. We must see each other in that place, no matter how busy you are. So when it is 9 p.m., myself and my husband, we have to be there even before them, few minutes to that time. So we did, when we practiced that over a long time, because at the initial time you have to ask them, okay, when are you coming down? Come now, we are here waiting for you. But after a short while, they got so much used to it that if we are on the phone and it's already 9, when we come downstairs, they will say, oh, but you are late. We are accountable. We explain to them that, sorry, we had an urgent call which we couldn't finish and it's not going to happen again. So what happened? We have shown them the example. We didn't tell them to do it. Oh, you must come by 9 p.m. We always showed up by 9 p.m. and they followed the same rule. So if you want your children to have time for the breakfast, you have to kind of have a mock eating breakfast with them. Even if you are not eating, sit with them when they are small, especially when your children are still very small. Because from Africa, we say that it is very easy to pick up bad habits, but it's very hard to change it. So if you want the children to have breakfast in the morning, even if you don't want to have it, come downstairs, go to the table. If you want them to be sitting on the dining table, yourself, come to the dining table, put the food on the dining table and sit down. If possible, maybe make tea and hold your tea and they eat. It may take you years, it may cost you time. And you watch how they're eating, encourage them to eat. If you do it few times, even when you are now busy, you can say, okay, you go on the dining table and have your lunch at 7. Like what are you when the child, let's say the school time is beginning next on Monday. On Saturday evening, have time with all of them together. I say, okay, school is starting Monday. And the school is starting 8:45. And it will take us 15 minutes to get there. That means by 8 we should be eating. We'll be finishing our eating. So are we in agreement? They say yes. So that means, when do you think everybody should wake up? You tell them, okay, we have 3 bathrooms, we have 2 bathrooms in the house. How long does it take this person to bath? Analyze all these things with them. They will be so excited because you are planning it with them. So they will say, well, that person, it takes half. This person stays long in the bathroom. That one is very quick. Okay, by 8, we'll all be dressed up. So by that 8, let's be at the dining table. If you practice it, if you discuss it before that day, watch what will happen. On Monday morning, they will do it exactly like that. One may miss it if you have more children. One may be late. But you're welcome. Thank you, Agamaka. Yeah, one may be late, but you now remind the person, okay, today you are late, and they will explain to you, oh, this happened, I'm late. So, okay, no problem. Tomorrow is another day to prove yourself. So once, within the first 5 days, you monitor this, you will see that they will get into that routine of having their breakfast Then you can now explain to them, oh, I don't have breakfast in the morning because I'm not eating now. So you can go downstairs. Once it is this time, I want to see you on the table. They will start doing it themselves without you prompting them. Yeah, okay. So, so you must communicate very well. Be a role model in your home. Let the children be mini you. Some of us are full of excuses. Oh, I can't go to work today. I am call off sick because, oh, I'm sick. Meanwhile, they are seeing you that you're not sick. Then tomorrow, they say, let's go to school. They say, Mommy, I don't want to go to school. And you think there is something. It's because once in a while, that's what you do. Like my husband will say, some of us want our children to be, our children don't want to go to church. Or even some Muslims, their children, you have to drag them to go to mosque. Why? Because once in a while, you say, I'm not going to church today. The weather is too much. Let me stay at home. Then tomorrow, you want them to be regular in school? No, because what you're doing is what they're going to do. They want to have an excuse not to go as well. So whatever we want them to be, let it be minimum. Maybe make it open. Okay, yeah. What's the time? Okay, I will just stop at 5:45. Then we'll go into questions and answers. Okay, so communicate well. Establish a code of conduct in your home, but let it not be rigid. Then recognize good behavior and achievements and celebrate them. When communication is difficult, what do you do? When communication is difficult, because where we are coming from, African, Caribbean parents and Asian parents at times, our parents, the setting is they dish out orders, which cannot be challenged. So we dish out orders. But I know some parents in Africa now are not doing that. So we cannot repeat that. Domestic violence. Domestic violence is not just when you lift your hand. Remember, it's not just when you hit the woman or when you hit the man or when you hit the child. It goes into the treatment, emotional, financial abuse. Some of us abuse our partners financially. And the child is always moaning about money, how daddy has money. He doesn't spend on us. You're abusing that child and it can cause them trauma, which they can go out. So there are so many, now look at what are some types of abuses. We say some abuses could be physical, sexual, emotional, neglect. And what are some examples of emotional abuse? Humiliating or constantly talking down on a child. The house will become very unconducive for the child. And so they want to be in school, and teachers will start suspecting, why is it that this child doesn't like going home? So we must avoid humiliating them, threatening them or shouting or calling derogatory names. Threatening children, shouting on them or calling them, oh, that's one, I know you always slack, you're like this. No, those things don't create conducive atmospheres because some of them feel they're not loved enough. And it can cause them emotional distress, emotional distress, and you can never be connected with that child. The child that you are calling names, you are threatening always, you will never be emotionally connected. They will never lead you into their secret. The third one, exposing a child to abusive attitude or environment. The fourth one, making a child object of jokes or using sarcasm to hurt a child. Making a jest of them, what they don't do very well. Everybody laughs at it. And the child, oh my God. Oh, okay. Number 5, blaming or scapegoating a child. In a home where if you want to create a conducive home, please avoid blaming a particular child always or making them a scapegoat. I know. Oh, who did that? I know who did it. Meanwhile, you have not heard their voice and you already made up your mind. I know a lot of us blacks, We are fighting against stereotype with the government. And some of us are stereotyping ourselves at home, stereotyping our children at home. So charity must begin from the home. Number 6, which is the last one, making a child perform degrading acts. Degrading acts, kneeling down for a long time. For a long time. Kneeling down. For them, it is degrading. Doing some odd things to them. No, we must avoid those. Create an atmosphere. Learn a new way of disciplining your children. Learn a new way of speaking, engaging, and having a discussion, no matter what they do wrong. Have a discussion to know what is in their mind. What is it that made you do that? Then explain to them what you did is wrong. Then tell them how the expectations expected of them. So I'm going to stop there. And so thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
A fantastic round of applause.